In today's show, we're looking back at a pretty action-packed Monday in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. This episode is brought to you by Locker Room. Download the app and join me on Friday to get in on the action. Locker Room is changing the way that we talk sports. Let's talk sports. Before we get into the games, quick note, LaMelo Ball, update on his injury, out of his cast, and he can resume individual basketball activities. And Woj reporting he's expected back within 7 to 10 days. So if you've got a bye this week, he's a clear ad. If you are in a tough matchup, you miss. That's going to be zeros for this week and maybe half of next week. Maybe that's not the move to add, but he is going to be returning at some point, it looks like, next week. So there's some positive news there out of LaMelo Ball and his injury scenario. Let's talk the games from Monday. Let's talk about this first one, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons got out to a huge start. The Cavs reeled them back in, but Detroit gets the win 109-105. Colin Sexton, he got the underperforming bump. Whenever someone goes on the Locked On Pot Fantasy Basketball buy low underperforming show, they tend to have a big game the next one. And here we go. Sexo, 28-7, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Those defensive numbers really bring it. The 60% shooting is awesome from him as well. While Darius Garland continues his strong play. Now, unfortunately, he was 60% from the line, but 23 with 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block is a great line. How about my boy, Isaiah Hartenstein? Only 20 minutes, but 13-6, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. I have banged on about this guy for years, since before he came to the NBA, that this guy is an absolute fantasy permanent monster. Just give him a chance. He is, guys, hold onto your dick. He's 76th ranked player in the last 2 weeks in 19 minutes a game. That's pretty bloody high. That's pretty bloody high. Do we do anything with this? Probably not. There was no Larry Nance in this game. But as a streamer, yeah, awesome. Like, he is putting up absolutely huge numbers in limited minutes, and it's useful. He was in the rotation ahead of Dean Wade last game. Now, Wade was back in this one because Nance was out. You can't ignore that production, though. He's got to at least be in your 14-team league discussion, maybe 16-teamer. Hartenstein, the permanent monster, permanent monstering. Kevin Love had 15 and 8. Yeah, that's just subpar from him. Well, it was a pretty poor night from Jarrett Allen. Interestingly, Hartenstein closed the game over Allen. 5 and 5 with a steal and a block for Allen in those 28 minutes. We're still holding him, but that's rough. While Isaac Okoro had just the 6 points in 32 minutes. We love what Okoro can do and what he might be able to blossom into. But is there a chance that he's the next Jimmy Butler or a chance that he's the next Dorian Finney-Smith / Andre Robertson? That's the worries. He just hasn't been able to do anything fantasy-wise this year. The 243rd ranked player, despite playing 32 minutes a night. 22% shooting here for Okoro. Wade back in the rotation. He is a clear 12-team league drop, though.
Get that garbage out of here!
Even if Nance is not ready to go as we move forward, it's pretty tough, I think, to justify holding on to Dean Wade. For the Pistons, a lot of their guys out, of course. Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, Corey Joseph, Dennis Smith, Wayne Ellington, Rodney McGruder, Sekou Doumbouya. So it's hard to gauge how everything's going to play out. But let's talk Isaiah Stewart. 32 minutes, 18-16, 3 steals, 3 blocks. A guaranteed must-roster play. Yes, the minutes will go down, but I think 80% of the games from here on out, he will play more minutes than Mason Plumlee. 61st ranked player of the last 2 weeks in 26 minutes. Got to roster him every league. Saddiq Bey, what was he? Perfect 6 of 6 in the first quarter, hit 5 threes, and then scored 2 points for the rest of the game. He's taking his game-to-game inconsistency now upping it up a level, leveling up, and making it within game inconsistency. Now, 20 points with 6 threes and 2 steals is really good, but the problem is he goes missing so often, and he went missing for 3 quarters. And that's what keeps his numbers, sort of middling. 177th ranked player this year, but 74th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. Got to be rostered. Guys, it was a pretty good night for players that I like. let's be honest, because Killian Hayes was good again. 33 minutes, 12 points, 9 assists, 1 steal. The absolute lunacy to write this bloke off as a bust. And I don't know if this guy is listening to this podcast, but he replied to me on Twitter. He claims that the reason that Killian Hayes got hurt because he wasn't NBA ready, and he still is not an NBA caliber player. He got hurt because he wasn't NBA ready. Can you believe the bullshit that people say? And if you're listening, I don't care. Mate, that's insane. He was written off after 5 games. What a bust. What a disaster. He's not all the way there. But he's the 59th ranked player over the last 2 weeks in 25 minutes a night. And he needs to play 30 minutes a night every night. Don't hate adding him. I think there is value in adding him here. Although, Corey Joseph's going to come in and just do whatever bullshit Dwayne Casey wants to do. But Hayes, I think, is actually going to be really good. And you know that I thought that. That's why I had him at number 2 in the draft. Might end up looking stupid, but I had him at number 2. And looking all right now. Joshy Jackson, 16, 5, and 4. Look, he's going to murder percentages. We know that, 31%, but good counting stats. While Frank Jackson went off. Now, Frank Jackson's probably one of the worst passers in the entire NBA. But he scores 20 points, 50% shooting, 3 threes, 28 minutes. Now, the 28 minutes is hard to envisage him continuing to do, but he can be that nice streamer. While Tyler Cook made his first NBA start with literally every person out, 12 points in 30 minutes. Now, as for guys like Mason Plumlee, I think he's a drop. Corey Joseph's a drop. Dennis Smith, you can't rely on. A lot of people are asking about Jeremy Grant, whether he's a drop. Now, let's just give some numbers here on Jeremy Grant. I feel like I'm going deep on today's show. Don't know why, but let's go a little bit deeper. Even though there's 9 games on, I got nowhere else better to be. You guys just fast forward it, play it on 2 times speed. Let's talk some stuff on Jez Grant here because, look, he's been a surprise, to be sure, this season.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
He's also the 123rd ranked player on a per-game basis over the last month. And that's shithouse. 110th over the last 2 months. Also, shithouse. Now, he's played 3 games in the last 2 weeks. He's been good in those games, and 56th ranked player. But if he's going to keep missing time, if his efficiency is going to keep dropping off, if the defensive numbers are just like, bleh, does he need to be held? There's 3 more games this week for the Pistons, and one of them's a back-to-back. So he's probably got 2 more games this week. And then they play Monday, and then don't play again until Thursday the following week. So Wednesday, Thursday, back-to-back, then Saturday. So he's got 2 games this week, and then a Monday, Thursday break. Or Monday game, Thursday game, then 2-day break. Really hard to trust that, to be honest. Really hard. And again, I said this on the playoff preparation video. You've got to be ruthless. Sometimes you've got to make hard decisions. It might bite you on the dick, but you got to be ruthless and make those decisions. And the way that it's trending for him, it's not trending well. Let's leave it at that. It's not trending in the right direction at this point for Jeremy Grant. Oh, also Hamidou Diallo. Jack, what do we do?
Get that garbage out of here!
As I will continually say, the amount of people that not only Dutch ruddered him with one hand, but gave him the old Turkish grip with a third hand, and then got their mate to come in with a Danish backhander and give him another one when he was traded, was pretty astounding for a bloke that's never shown anything to me to be considered that good. Fine, worth a flyer in a points league, but not anymore. Like, see you later. Like, he's just, again, I will say this, and I'll continually say it for him, the idea of Hamidou Diallo is significantly better than the reality of Hamidou Diallo. The reality of Locker Room is that it's awesome. This episode is brought to you by Locker Room, the first social audio platform made for sports fans. The app is free to download, and once you're in, you can talk with me, other fans, athletes, and insiders in real... Are you saying I'm not an insider? Locker Room script? What are you talking about? Insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. I'll be hosting rooms for Locked On Fantasy Basketball once a week on Fridays. And yes, you can join in there. You can get up on the stage, have a chat to me. Locker Room is the perfect place to start or join conversations about the league. You'll find the fans just like you on there, and you'll have a chance to chat with me and might even get a chance to be featured on an episode of Locked On Fantasy Basketball. So make sure you're joining me on Friday and follow me at JoshLloyd48. So go download Locker Room right now. It's only available on iOS devices at the moment, unfortunately. But be sure to create that profile, link your Twitter, join the NBA group for the latest league updates. And if you follow me, you'll be notified when I go live because I know you don't want to miss it. So I will see you there on Friday. Locker Room is changing the way that we talk sports. Rock Auto is changing the way that we look at car parts, because why would you want to go to a chain store, a big auto, big box store, and go to the bloke at the counter and ask for a part for your Range Rover? I don't know why I said Range Rover, but if it's Range Rover, and say it's something that I don't even know car parts. It's a bulb for some shit. And you go in there and you go, mate, have you got it? And he goes, mate, Range Rovers, don't get too much demand for them around here. You go, oh, all right, then how long is it going to take? Oh, it'll be 4 weeks, and it'll be $200. I go, for a light bulb? What are we talking about here? Don't worry, mate. I got this sorted. I go out into the car park, sit in the car, fire up my rockauto.com, look it up, and there it is. So much cheaper. What are we doing? We don't have to waste our time going to these chain stores. RockAuto.com is a family business, and they've been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. And those prices, they're always reliably low because there isn't two different tiers of pricing for professionals and for do-it-yourselfers. It's the same low price for everybody. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck and write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, now eventually let's get on to the second game of the day. That was a big one. Giggity. The Golden State Warriors. Man, Steph Curry. How inspirational. Steph hit another 10 threes. He had 49 points. He is the number 2 ranked player this season. He's the number 1 ranked player of the last 2 weeks. He had 5 assists. He shot 50%. He's 92 from the line. When I did have him in the top 5 to win this season, I was a little bit cautious. When, maybe this is not right. Maybe he's not going to do it. But shit, if you picked him in the top 5, you're feeling pretty bloody good about it. He is now averaging over the last month, 7.1 threes made per game. It's a lot of threes. That is, in fact, 78 threes over his last 11 games. Oh, and he's hitting those at 50%. This dude is, he's actually amazing what he's doing. He now leads the league in scoring. He's averaging 40 points a game for a month. 40. With 7 threes. On a true shooting of 74%. Now, I know this is going to come down. If it was any other player, I'd say, look, guys, it's going to drop. But this dude's ridiculous. Is it going to come down? I have absolutely no idea. He is insane. Kent Bazemore started over Kelly Oubre, and it looks like Oubre is going to remain on the bench. In fact, Jack, what do we do with Kelly Oubre?
Get that garbage out of here!
Yeah, that sounds good to me. But Bazemore only played the 14 minutes. It was Damian Lee who stepped up. 32 minutes for Lee, 12 and 6 with 2 threes, 1 block. Yeah, that's fine. I don't trust it, but it's fine. Wiggins had 16 and 10 with 2 blocks, which is solid. And Draymond was a little bit under, 8, 6 and 6. But let's talk about Kevon Looney. You know that I've been a big Kevon Looney fan for a long time, but just never been able to stay healthy or get minutes. And now, with no Wiseman, no Pascal, no Toscano Anderson, Looney has to play big minutes. 34 minutes, 5 points, 15 boards. That's really solid as a 14-team league guy with what he's doing at the moment. Super impressed with what he's doing. Jordy Poole had 6 points, and then we didn't get much else going on here. Oubre just the 9 points in his 22 minutes, and as Jack said, get that out of here. For the Sixers, there was no Thick Hogsman, there was no Ben Simmons. So we had some weird starters. We had Furky from Turkey starting. We had Prison Mike Scott. Now, Prison Mike Scott did better than I expected. He had a 14 trillion with only 1 missed shot. So that's probably a win if you decided to roster Mike Scott. The Painter Matisse Thybulle played 31 minutes, 13 and 7, 3 steals and a block. We know that if the minutes are up, he's going to put up some really, really big numbers. Good stuff from him. While Dan Green had 3 steals and 4 triples in 32, and Embiid had 28, 13 and 8 with a 111. Unfortunately, the efficiency for Embiid was off, but good counting stats. Seth Curry got really hot early on and cooled off. Played 35 minutes, had 15 points with 3 threes. I do not believe that Seth is a 12-team league guy, while Furky had 10 points in his 25 minutes. And Shake Milton, just the 20 minutes. Unfortunately, he can go as well. Because now we've got George Hill in the mix. He played 18 minutes and had a weird-looking Richie Beno.
2 for 2.
2 threes, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks for Hill, but do not buy into that at all for any sort of fantasy league outside of the very deep formats. All right. What else are we going to look at here? Let's go on to the next game. That would be a great idea, wouldn't it? The Chicago Bulls, they beat the Boston Celtics 102-96. Nikola Vucevic.
It's Big Vucevic.
29 and 10 in the win for Chicago. They win 102-96. I don't remember if I said that. 2 steals and a block. Didn't get to the foul line again, which is just wild. Well, Kobe White, I think we've got to look to add Kobe White. 30 minutes, 19 points. Now, you've got to deal with the fact that he's just going to really, pants down dump on your field goals, 36%. But he's going to take a lot of shots because that's why he's starting. 19 points with 7 assists because someone needs to take over from the skater boy, Zach LaVine. With White starting, Thomas Satoransky, you can drop him 3 and 4 in 19 minutes. Markkanen, get his ass out of here. 9 points in 19 minutes. While Dan Tice had 6 and 4. Probably more 14 than 12. And Thad Young's probably the same, more 14 than 12. Although he did have 2 steals and 13 points in 13 minutes. And this wild scenario of Thad Young becoming a 30-plus usage guy is just something I never saw coming. I don't I don't understand how we're deciding that everything needs to run through Thad Young, but that's what the Bulls have been doing so many times. I just don't trust him as a 12-teamer. It was a strong night from Garrett Temple, 13 points, 3 threes, and 2 blocks, but I don't really trust that too much either. For the Celtics, Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart were out, as was the Rock DJ and Evan Fournier. Smart was probable. He was questionable, then probable, then out, so that was cool. With those point guards out, Jason Tatum said, I'm the point guard now. Now, he also said, well, I'm going to be a terrible shooter like you two blokes, and had 14 points on 18%, but 13 rebounds and 10 assists for his first triple-double. It's a pretty shit triple-double when you count those percentages, but otherwise, yeah, not bad numbers. Jalen had 23 and 4, and Peyton Pritchard started with 14 points. Now, Pritchard's numbers have been coming up of late, but I wouldn't read too much into this. They also ran Romeo Langford a little bit at point guard. He's not a point guard. He had the 2 steals in about 20 seconds, but otherwise the line's pretty empty. Well, Jabari Parker had 8 points in 16 minutes. Very deep leagues, maybe you look at Jabari, but I wouldn't be thinking he's going to impact leagues too much. Tristan Thompson had 11 and 5 in 33 minutes, and that's serviceable. It's at least worth considering for short-term to big man numbers, but I don't look at him as any sort of long-term solution for anybody, really. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Football might be over, but the NBA and the NHL are still going, and BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds, and it's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. Head to the website, betonline.ag, or use your mobile device to sign up today using our promo code LOCKEDON, and you can receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline are your online sportsbook experts. Today, through to the 26th of April, you can listen to the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021, presented by Locked On and Odyssey, featuring analysis from NFL experts Michael Irvin, yes, that Michael Irvin, Jason LaCanfora, and Brian Boldinger. Our local experts for every team making trades and picking the next stars of their team. Search the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021 on the new Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Odyssey is the audio home for all sports, podcasts, music, and news that matters to you. That's AUDACY. Okay, next game. The Phoenix Suns beat the Milwaukee Bucks, somewhat controversially, I guess, in overtime, 128-127. Chris Paul bounced back with 22, 7, and 13, and Devin Booker had 24, 7, and 7 with 3 steals and a block. Their last game wasn't particularly good in a weird blowout, but that's some good numbers there. Well, DeAndre Ayton, I hope he's all right, because he did hurt his shoulder towards the end of that game, but 20 and 13 in 40 minutes with a block. He is rocking at the moment. Top 20 player over the last 2 weeks. Well, McCall Bridges. This is why I wasn't keen on dropping Bridges. There were some shit games in there for sure, but 21 points, 5 threes, 2 assists, and a block. 73% shooting, should not have been dropped anywhere. Hopefully you didn't. Monty Williams did his thing and decided to just, kids, close your ears, fuck around with the starting lineups. Put Dario Saric in there, then realized, oh my God, this is a terrible idea. He played him 18 minutes and had 2 points, and he went back to being the backup center. The fact that you do that, and then you go, and he sits there and goes, who's my backup center now? And then doesn't figure it out. He's pretty, Williams has been great this year. Absolutely a coach of the year candidate. But he makes some decisions where you go, what are you doing? And I think that's one of them. Anyway, he corrected that at halftime and went, look, let's go back to Gattuso over here.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Jay Crowder, who shot 27% for 9 points, which is just what Crowder does. But just continually need to provide some weird shit when he's with his lineups. Cam Johnson had 13 with 3 threes. He's not a bad streamer. And Torrey Craig, who had to play center because of the rotation mishap, had 5 points with 2 steals and a block. But he is in the rotation, Craig, but not really an impact for fantasy. I'd say that the big fella Giannis's minutes limit is over.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
35 minutes, 33 and 8. Although 35 minutes in the overtime game, you'd hope for a little bit more. And he did have some cramp at the end, but thankfully it's nothing too serious. 25, 4 and 8 for Drew with 2 steals and a block, while Middleton had 26, 7 and 5. So big games from their big stars. While speaking of big stars, Bobby Portis played 14 minutes for 6 points. I knew it was a mirage. I knew it was all bullshit with Bobby Portis. He couldn't have been this good. He's not this good. But he did it for so long, and I was forced, embarrassingly, to say Bobby Portis is good. You know what? Past Josh, I take that back. You're a wanker. Bobby Portis is not good. Jack.
Get that garbage out of here!
Yeah, he's shithouse. Get him out of here. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and a 0-0. Now, of course, I'm being a little bit funny there. But also get rid of him. There's no point to hold him while PJ Tucker and Pat Connaughton getting those minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu, returned, played 31 minutes, had 9, 7, and 3. That's totally it's fine. I think he still should be on a 12-team roster because he's top 100 over the last 2 weeks. But, that's not particularly inspiring. While Paddy Connaughton's a nice deep league ad, 9-9 with 3 threes in those 23 minutes for Patrick. Let's go to the next one. We're looking at the Houston Rockets getting beat by the Miami Heat, 113-91. The crucifix Christian Wood. At least he didn't miss any free throws. He didn't hit any, but he didn't miss any. 18-7 with 3 steals and 2 blocks, while cousin Kev played 31 minutes. Kevin Porter, 18 points, 3 threes and 3 assists to bring himself to be the 123rd ranked player this year. Look, he is absolutely still, in my opinion, a must-roster player, but as we're all well aware, the talk of him being a league winner has been greatly exaggerated. Olynyk had 10 and 8 in 32 minutes. I think he's a 12-team league guy. Well, Johnny Wall returned, played just 30 minutes, dropped a deuce on your field goals with 29% shooting, as he does so often, with 14, 4, and 6. Rough game from the Wild thing, Jayshawn Tate, 10, 5, and 3. I do believe he's a must-roster player, and I think the numbers would bear that out, considering he's the 54th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. While Amani Brooks continues to play pretty well. 8 points in 26 minutes. That's just a deeper league scenario, but with Gordon, House, Brown, Augustin, Nwaba, and Exum all out, there's an opportunity for Brooksy to have some value. Now, stiff shit if you play on ESPN, because why would they bother having a player that's in the NBA and playing minutes available to pick up? As long as you can add Kevin Garnett, I guess they're satisfied. I don't know what this takes to get players added into the pool, but it's actually, kids, again, I'm fired up today. Kids, cover your ears. It's fucking embarrassing. Like, fix your fucking bullshit, ESPN. Put the players in as soon as they get signed. How hard is this to keep an eye on transactions? I can do it. Why can't you? Find out who is added and add their fucking ass to the player pool. I'm fired up. Let's go. All right, Miami. They were without Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. None of those injuries are considered serious. It's just a day-to-day type situation. So hopefully they're able to return pretty soon. But, we don't know. But they started in the absences of those guys. Kendrick Nunn, 39 minutes, 37 and 8 with 6 triples. Must roster guy. Iguodala also out of nowhere. 16, 6 and 6, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 4 triples. I'm not buying into Iguodala, but 16-teamer, sure. Why not? The Iron Shoulder, good streamer, Goran Dragic, 19, 6 and 5, but that's really about it. While the Spur, Duncan Robinson, had 19 points and 5 threes. Again, a nice points and threes type streamer. Without Adebayo, they started Achua, which is pretty confusing considering Achua wasn't even in the rotation last game, but played him 29 minutes. He had 8 points on 36% shooting, so that's exactly what you want a center to do. I don't think he's that good if you haven't guessed by this tone of my voice. And then the Undertaker came in, cleaned up the mess, and had 12 and 6 in 19 minutes with 2 blocks as a plus 23. If Adebayo misses more... Dedmon is the backup center and should be the backup center, and he should be getting these minutes. He has some 14 to 16 team league value, but he's not going to play with Bam all that much. Pretty rough night from Ariza, 6, 5 and 5 in 30 minutes, but he does have some back-end 14 team league value at this point. All right, let's go on to the next game. San Antonio beats Indiana 109-94.
Maximum Derek.
Derek White played 34 minutes. He was on my underperforming players list. He had 25 points, 6 triples, 4 assists, a steal, shot 47%. Was a plus 20 and had 14 points in the first quarter. Again, he's good. And the shooting eventually had to come around. Here we are. Jakob Poeltl only played 25 minutes, had fouled out in that time, but 16 and 7 with 2 steals and a block. Also, he is really good. DeRozan had 18, 8 and 6, and then Keldon Johnson, one of Keldon's best games to be fair, 14 and 6. I think he's more just a streamer, considering the dude is the 265th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. Rough night for DeJounte, 11, 7 and 7, which is all right. The 7 rebounds and assists are good, but no steals, no blocks, and bad percentages, but still, we know he's good. And then with Poeltl playing more minutes, Eubanks was down to 16, but 9 and 13 is still really actually good. So 16-team leagues, I think Drewy can be a short-term option there. Not much else to talk about. Lonnie Walker continues to flounder. There is no way that Devin Vassell is playing less than him next year. Lonnie Walker just isn't very good, I don't think, and I've had that opinion for a while. Now, talking about other blokes that I like, the Dart, Goga Badadze.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Now, the news here for Miles Turner is shithouse. A partial tear of a plantar plate in his big toe. I don't think we're seeing him again this regular season. I wouldn't say you're safe, but I'd be dropping him. Now, in a situation where Turner's out, Goga's not an ad, right? Because we literally have just seen what happens when Turner's out and Goga plays 14, 15 minutes a night. The difference today is that Domantas Sabonis was out. So they started Goga. He had 7 points on 7 shots, which is objectively horrendous, but 9 rebounds and 5 blocks, 83 from the line. This dude is going to be good. As long as, and the problem here with Goga is that he had some fouls, and he also hurt his ankle and wasn't able to return. So hopefully he's all right. But if Sabonis is out and Goga's fine, then he is a short-term option. But if Sabonis is playing, he won't be, I don't think, a 12-team league guy. Brogdon, just, how do you shoot this bad, man? 18 points on 25%. And he'd been really good prior to this, but that was a stinker. While O'Shea Brissett started over Justin Holiday. Hopefully you've all dropped Justin Holiday's ass. That is the biggest no-brainer for the last month. Get him out of here. While Brissett had 13 and 6 with 3 threes. Nice, but I don't think we need to read too much into it. McConnell had 8, 5 and 4, and LeVert, yeah, he just took on a lot of shots and they didn't go in. 18, 4 and 2 for 42% with 50% from the line. That is always going to be the problem with LeVert. He'll have some streaks that are good and he has some streaks that are shithouse. 23 minutes for Sumner. The 6 assists and 2 steals make that line look a lot better than what it is. But he will have an elevated role as long as Turner is out, which, again, I think is the rest of the season. So Sumner can be at least that deeper league stream. Jeremy Lamb didn't play in this game, while Dougie McDirt played, and it couldn't have been worse. 4 points in 18 minutes. McDermott is not a 12-team league ad. Let's get that out of the way now. He is not a 12-team league ad. Goga can be if Sabonis is out. But if Sabonis is playing, Goga. If you didn't like Sabonis last week, when Sabonis, if you didn't like Goga then when Turner was out, you won't like him when we move forward. I think that's as simple as that. But he's bloody good, and I've said that a million times. You're all well aware of that. All right, let's go on to the next game. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Washington Wizards. 107 Oklahoma City, 119 Washington. Ty Jerome, 11 points, 3 threes, 20 minutes. The minutes is what concerns me. I think he can have an impact, but the minutes are concerning. Well, how about Darius Bazley? Now, this bloke made me look a dickhead for 4 months. Hey, take Darius Bazley with the last pick in your draft. It's a nice sleeper. Let's see where it goes. And he was shithouse. And now he's gone, you know what, Josh, let's go. It's time to fire up. 38 minutes, 26 points, 7 rebounds. Now, he still shot poorly, 37% from the field, but 11 of 13 from the line was pretty strong. I think he's fine to have as a 12-team league guy, but I would not label him must roster. Remember, no Dort, no Roby, no Muscala, no Hall, no Deck, and no Gilgeous-Alexander, which I don't think we're getting him again this year. Another horrendous shooting night from the Salt Flake. Theo Maledon had 14, 7, and 5 on 33% shooting. He is just absolutely has to be punted with field goal percentage. You cannot deal with that otherwise. While Pokusevski had a pretty rough night, 27%. 8 points, 2 threes, 5 assists. But still the assists are there, and I think he is still a 12-team league guy. The C-parter, I don't think so. 0 points for Moses Brown in 16 minutes with 6 boards, a steal, and a block. Now, he'll come out and make me look stupid next game and play 28 minutes and have 16 and 14 with 3 blocks. But the inconsistency makes it hard to roster him. While Svi Mykhailiuk? Yeah, I keep getting that wrong. Svi Mykhailiuk had 11 points with 3 threes in those 25 minutes. But just pretty rough stuff from the Thunder. Let's talk Wizards. Russ Westbrook, you want to talk about blokes killing your percentages. Holy shit. 28 from the field and 33 from the line, but 13, 11, and 17 assists with 3 steals is good. Just those percentages are rough. While Davis Bertans came off the bench, played 28 minutes, had 21 and 6. He is a 12-team league guy for the time being. He is shooting the absolute lights out. And Bielo had 30 points with 3 threes and 3 steals. Of course, in all Scott Brooks' mastery, he started Hal Neto, who had 6 points in 28 minutes. And Scott Brooks... It's like that meme of Eric Andre shooting that bloke and then turning around. Why would he do this? This is Scott Brooks. It was like, man, I don't like playing 3 centers, but I've got to do it. You don't. You absolutely don't. But you keep doing it. Now Gafford was great. Again, like he's literally been good every game. 13 and 5, a block, 100% shooting. Like that is still 12-team worthy. But 16 minutes, while Alex Len spuds it up for 16 and Robin Lopez spuds it up for 16. To be fair to Lopez, he had 17 points. Like, what are you trying to do, Brooksy? Just play Gaff 20 minutes. Now, I'm worried that it's not going to happen. It happened 2 games ago. I went, shit, like, here we go. It's happening. It's on. And then he went, psych. 3 centers it is. Can't go. But the fact, and this is what shits me about Brooks, the fact that he comes out and says, I hate it. Hate playing 3 centers. I've got no choice. And then he doesn't do it. And then he must sit at home and go, I've got to do it. I've got to do it again. I've got to play the 3 centers. What are you doing? You don't like it. You survive without doing it. And you got to run back to it. Dickhead. Denny Avdia, 6 points on 27% shooting. Yeah, he is a long way from being a contributor. A very, very long way. Yeah. So, yeah, I am fired up, and I've got more to fire up about. Don't worry. It's coming in a second. All right. Let's go on to this next game. Wow. That score's wrong. I apologize. I'm going to fix that. All right. That's better. The Memphis Grizzlies, the Denver Nuggets, a double overtime game. The Nuggets win it in the end, 139-137. Now, I know I talked about this guy on the underperforming show today, because he has been underperforming, barely inside the top 200 over the last 2 weeks. And then I sent out a tweet which might be considered dumb. Let me read my tweet, because you may not have seen it. I own up to stuff that I tweet. What did I write? I don't know if I fully believe it, but is Darius Garland better than Ja Morant at this point? All right, I know he is for fantasy. And then Morant just turned it on. He just turned it on in overtime. Now, that's not without saying that he didn't have some absolutely mind-blowingly bad mistakes in this game, Morant, but 36, 8, and 12, 2 threes, 2 steals, and a block, 54% shooting, 73 from the line. That is objectively fantastic. He is also a bloke that also feels completely beyond reproach. I like the guy. I think he's going to be good, but I feel like you can't say anything critical about him without people jumping down your throat. Garland has been, I would say, better than him this season, almost without doubt. And then, Morant made me look stupid. Not that Garland had a bad game, because he didn't. He played pretty well. But Morant comes out and does this. The problem is then he'll go out and have 13 and 4 on 30% shooting with no threes and no steals, which has been a consistent thing for Morant this season. This was undoubtedly really, really good, and let's hope he continues. Because, again, I hate doing it, but I like him. But sometimes you have to, when every single thing he does, people just, oh, man, he's so unbelievable. When, again, the totality of his work this season has been, I think, relatively disappointing. But this was undeniably great. I tell you what else was undeniably great. Kids, let's leave the room. DeAnthony fucking Melton. What a shock. What a shock that he plays 41 minutes. He's a team best plus 11. He has 25, 8, and 6 with 4 steals and 6 triples. Yet that dickhead decided that he would be the 11th man and not play him, or he'd play him 15 minutes a night. Now, I don't know what to do here.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Do I add him? You have to. You have to add him. And then we'll see what bullshit goes on. Now, remember, there was no Dylan Brooks, there was no Jonas Valanciunas, and there was no Jaren Jackson Jr., and they could all be back next game. But Melton, in my mind, is better than Brooks. He's better than Allen. He's better than Bane. He's better than Winslow. He's better than Conchar. He's better than all those guys. And when I see this, I have to add him. I have to. But that's just me. You might be burnt a million times by Jenkins' rotation. Not by Melton's playing, but by Jenkins' rotations. Because, again, this guy is the 109th ranked player before today in 20 minutes a night. He's going to be well inside the top 100 after today. I just get frustrated with the dickery of not seeing how good he is. But we saw it today. I don't know if it convinces Jenkins. I'm not holding my breath. Could it be a Scott Brooks 3 center type scenario? Maybe. But this is awesome. Grayson Allen was also pretty good outside of, again, some dumb shit plays that he made at the end. 24 points in 43 minutes with 3 steals and 3 threes. He is a 12-team league guy, while the cashier, Xavier Tillman. Memphis has got a good player here. 18 and 14, 2 threes, 2 steals, 1 block. Now, his value lasts as long as Jonas Valanciunas is out. But while he's out, go for it. Desmond Bane started. He was somehow a minus 21 in 16 minutes and had 3 points. I don't care if they start Bane over Melton or whatever they do, but Melton always needs to get more minutes. There's a stinker from Bane. Now, he's a bit better than this, but this was a poor game. Well, Brandon Clark returned and had 4 points. He did have 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block, but I'm not convinced that he's must roster for 12-team leagues. Kyle Anderson, 11, 6, and 6 is pretty good. Well, Justice Winslow, absolutely no reason to have him. 6 points in 18 minutes. Honestly, I don't even think he should be in the rotation at this stage. And when Valanciunas, Jackson, and Brooks comes back, he probably shouldn't. And D'Anthony Melton just took Tyus Jones' minutes. 8 minutes for Jones, 0 points. Fair. Totally fair. For the Denver Nuggets.
Big chungus, big chungus, big chungus, big.
Yeah, he's really good. 47, 15, and 8. In fact, Larry.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
47, 15, and 8, 65%, 83 from the line, 2 triples. He's the number 1 fantasy player this year. He's going to be, I think, the MVP pretty clearly. Big game. Also had Fart and Will Barton on the underperforming show today, and he said, well, Josh, Screw you. 28, 6 and 7, 5 triples, a steal and a block. Still relatively inefficient, but good to see the usage bump, while Maga Porter had 21 and 7 and 5 threes. Let's check in on Aaron Gordon. If I had a fart sound effect, I'd play it. 22 minutes, 2 points, 8 boards and a block on 14% shooting. Guys, on the trade deadline, I said I reckon he might be a drop. I gave him 2 games. I said drop him. Nothing's changed. Drop him. He's still rostered everywhere. He barely played in overtime. I don't think he played at all in overtime or in the fourth quarter. It's not that good. Speaking of not that good, Facu Campazzo struggled. 3 points in 35 minutes, but he played 35 minutes. And Monty Morris is going to be out a while. Jamal Murray's out all season. Campazzo is going to have to get back on the bus, back on the horse, and ride it out again. He only had 2 assists in a steal. He can still be a 12-team league guy. And he probably won't be this bad, but he's got opportunities. Well, I think PJ Dozier has some at least 14-team league value. 10, 5, and 5 in 37 minutes for Peach. Didn't shoot that well. He does have issues with shooting, but he can fill it up in other areas, and he can be a sneaky guy. 16 teams for sure. 14 teams, maybe for PJ. Double overtime game, Paul Millsap plays 13 minutes. Now, 12, 5, and 2 is strong. A steal and a block is good, but it should be nowhere near 12 or 14 team leagues. Unfortunately, Paul Millsap, the age decline train has hit him pretty fairly smack in the face at this stage. All right, let's go on to the last game of the night, which was nowhere near as exciting as that Grizzlies-Nuggets game. The Jazz handled the Lakers 111-97. No Donovan Mitchell, so Joe Ingles started. 21 points, 5 triples, 5 assists. Great shooting, 73%. Good usage, plus 23. They just obliterated him, really. Conley had 14, 2, and 10. Gobert had 14 and 10 with 2 blocks. Even Royce O'Neal chipped in. 13, 9, and 5, 3 threes, and 2 blocks. Now, O'Neal has been a top 140 player this year. He has fallen off of late. But he can be a guy that you do use in 12-team league formats if you need what he brings, which is good efficiency, good rebounds, and some steals. Bogdanovic had 19 points. Didn't do much else but the 4 assists. Sheev?
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And even Jordan Clarkson shot well. That's how much of a blowout this was. 32 minutes for Clarko, 22 points on 64%. Now he had nothing else, 1 assist and 3 rebounds. But Clarkson is extraordinarily cooled off, but this is a good opportunity for him to bump that usage back up. Now, the Lakers, Anthony Davis could return next game, but it did come out that LeBron has started light work, but he's still weeks away. That's not great. Dennis Schroeder, 15, 4, and 6 with 4 steals is solid, while Taylor Horton-Tucker, he's actually good, but the problem is his minute certainty. I just don't know where the minutes are going to come from every game. 24 points is great, 3 threes, 2 assists, 2 steals, 62% shooting, we love it. Is he a 12-team must roster? No, because Davis coming back does impact some things. Can he be an option? Sure, but more of a 14-team league guy. KCP had 15 points with nothing else, while Kuzma had 17 in 29 minutes. I don't think Kuzma's a guy that we need to hold on to. I'm getting to him, don't worry. Markieff Morris, 4 points in 23 minutes on 25%. That's rough. He's going to be a drop now with Davis back. And let's talk about Andre Drummond, because I get criticized a lot, which is fine. I say things, I say my opinions, and someone's going to be right, someone's going to be wrong. But I consistently have said about Andre Drummond, look, he'll get minutes, he puts up fantasy stats, but he's actually not good on the court. And don't worry, he'll get to the Lakers, and he'll reel it in. Don't worry, he won't do this stupid usage shit. He won't think that he's better than he is. He'll reel it in. And granted, he has not played with LeBron or Anthony Davis yet, so maybe that changes. But available history will just tell us that Andre Drummond's just this guy who posts up, unless every coach just looks at him and goes, mate, Andre, whenever you get it, can you just do whatever you can to shoot it? I doubt that's the case. I doubt every coach, Frank Vogel and Dwayne Casey and JB Bickerstaff and whatever other dickheads were coaching him in Detroit have said, Andre, every time you get it, Stan Van Gundy, whenever you get it, please just try a little hook shot, try a turnaround, try a post up. We just want to make sure that you're the bloke who's shooting it at all opportunities. There is no way that every coach said that. 29% usage for a bloke that shoots 25% as a 7-foot center is embarrassing. And this is the shit that happened in Cleveland. And it happened for years in Detroit. It is not a scheme thing. It is not a coaching thing. It is a big avocado thing. And yes, maybe LeBron is the guy to reel him in. And there's a distinct possibility of that. And when Davis is out there, that changes. But he's actually shithouse. Like, he's not good. He's not a good defender. He's not a good shooter. Look, true shooting of 28% and you are a center. Get out of here. Look at this bullshit. Now, what can we do in fantasy? I think we have to hold him. But it's embarrassing that their best center doesn't play, Marc Gasol. He didn't play. Again, because Drummond's out there doing whatever this is, gesturing wildly, whatever this bullshit is. Montrezl Harrell has 2 points in 13 minutes, and he just thought, man, if Drummond can be this bad, maybe I can be worse. And I know it's hard for the Lakers to win without Davis and LeBron. Of course, it's impossible. I'm not blaming them, but these guys aren't that good. And it's frustrating to see it. 8-4 for Drummond with 2 steals. If I had him, I would hold. Because there is still going to be numbers put up. He does do that sort of stuff. But holy shit, he's bad. And in terms of dynasty formats, what team is going to be going, man, we need Andre Drummond to be our starting center? I know the Raptors have got a huge hole.
Giggity.
At center. Maybe do they bring him in? But this guy is just destructive. Like, who wants him to be their starting center next year and pay him big money for that privilege? I'm not sure there's anybody that wants to do that. He sucked today, like bad. As for Montrezl Harrell, Jack.
Get that garbage out of here!
Yeah, look, this dude is the 211th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, and that's without Anthony Davis. Really tough to justify holding on to him, I think. All right, let's talk other stuff. I told you I'm fired up. Top ads over the last 24 hours. Trevor Ariza up 19%. Hopefully that was just for the streaming ability today. I don't think he's a 12-teamer. He's a 14-teamer. Isaiah Stewart, absolutely a must-roster 12-teamer. Furky from Turkey up 13%. Hopefully that's streaming without Toby out. He's been putting up good numbers as a 3-point streamer, but I'm not sure it's must-roster. 11% for Josh Jackson, fine. Cole Anthony up 11%. I think he is a 12-team league guy. In terms of drops, Monty Morris down 14%. Mickey Malone saying he might be out a while, but we know the doctor and his advanced medical degree from upstairs Hollywood Medical School. Maybe he could be wrong on that, but he said he's going to be out a while, so I think you have to drop. Mason Plumlee down 13%. Yep, get rid of him. Rui Hachimura down 13%. Why were 13% of people still rostering him? DeAndre Jordan down 12%. Well, with the news that Nicky Claxton's in the health and safety protocols and LaMarcus Aldridge is retired and Kevin Durant is out, I think Jordan can be a 12-team league guy if you need what he brings. And Corey Joseph down 10%. Can Dwayne Casey screw this up for us? Maybe. I would still think that he is a pretty strong drop. Let's look at the top 10 players under 50%. Andre Iguodala, that came out of nowhere. My man, the wave pool, DeAnthony Melton. Let's just add him and let's be disappointed again. Isaiah Hartenstein, I don't know what to do with him. 14 teams, I'd add him and see what happens. Thibault, good streamer. Garrett Temple, nice 14-team leaguer. Goga, if Sabonis remains out and Goga is healthy, then the Dart can be a 12-team option. Dedman, nice 14 to 16-teamer. Royce O'Neal, back-end 12er. Killian Hayes, the back-to-backs is the risk, and the coach is the risk. But the numbers would tell you that he is a 12-team league guy. I don't mind adding him, but on a back-to-back, you got to have your IL plus, or you got to move on in those spots. Well, Edmund Sumner had a pretty strong game, but I don't really buy that long-term. Let's now flick it and talk some DFS. All right, only the 5 games on Tuesday, so let's talk about them now. FanDuel pricing. The Magic and the Hawks. The Hawks are 12.5-point favorites. The total is 219.5. Still no Hunter, still no Reddish, still no Dunn, still no Snell. But Collins is back for his second game, probably under some sort of minutes restriction. While for the Magic, James Ennis and Michael Carter-Williams remain out, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that means we get more of the Shark Dwayne Bacon, and of course, Cole Anthony stepping in there as well. Otto Porter remains sidelined, as is Terrence Ross. So some pretty decent size opportunities for those Magic guys in this game. The Hornets and the Knicks, of course, that news on LaMelo Ball, that he's going to be back in 7 to 10 days is great. And it's going to reduce the value of a lot of players when that happens, but he's not back for this one. We don't know what they're going to do at center, whether it's PJ Washington Jr., whether it's Vernon Carey, Cody Zeller, Bismack Biyombo, but Bridges will get big minutes, Washington will get good minutes, Rozier could put up some big numbers with Devontae Graham questionable. We've got to see which way that goes for Devontae, of course, and then you get the Martins who step up there in Graham's absence, if that is actually the case. For the Pelicans, no Harden, no Durant, no Claxton, so DeAndre Jordan, Landry Shamet, Bruce Brown, Kyrie, Jeff Green, Blake Griffin, these guys are all going to have to step up. While the Pelicans, James Johnson is doubtful, and you would have to assume that Lonzo Ball's still under some sort of minutes restriction. With Johnson doubtful, maybe that means more minutes for someone like a Najee Marshall. For the Clippers and the Blazers, no Ibaka or no Beverly for the Clippers. Nick Batum will return after resting last game, while the Blazers are going to have no Damian Lillard and no Yusuf Nurkic. So fire up your Earnest Kansas. Have a look at Anthony Simons, maybe take a flyer on Derek Jones or Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, or probably more importantly, Carmelo Anthony, who's going to have to take a lot of shots with no Dame Lillard there. Minnesota at Sacramento. Jalen Noel doubtful, but Karl Anthony Towns is ready to play, while for the Kings, Rashawn Holmes remains sidelined along with Marvin Bagley. In terms of overall value in this one, Cantor I like a lot at 55. I love Cole Anthony. I actually like the sharp 3,800 Dwayne Bacon. Anthony Simons, Hassan Whiteside, Kyrie Irving, maybe Joe Harris. I'm not super in on that. Eric Bledsoe, Wendell Carter Jr., Julius Randle, the double royal, CJ McCollum, maybe. Mello, I like. De'Aaron Fox, I like as well. He's been tearing it up. Karl Anthony Towns, somewhat appealing. Maybe minimum salary. RJ Hampton can work. And then Trae Young and Bogdan Bogdanovic and Zion Williamson also rounding out some pretty decent value on this slate. Guys, don't forget to subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and on Odyssey. But when you're on YouTube, go and hit the thumbs up. Go and hit the notification bell and go and drop your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.